before we even begin printing, we need to make sure that our printing plate is finished. Knowing that it is finished, you have taken a pencil straight onto the styrofoam plate and you have dug in even deeper with all of the lines of your design. After that, what you're going to do is make sure that you know where you started your design with the number ones. You're going to flip it over and you're going to draw an X on that corner. Reason being, so you know what corner will always go in the middle, and we'll get to that in just a second. But you want to draw an X right behind where you started your design with number 1. Okay. Below, you're going to notice that there are certain spots that are designated for certain things. There is an ink plate. It's just a plexiglass plate to spread your ink evenly onto the brayer. The brayer is to layer an even amount of ink onto the printing plate. You'll also notice that there is a designated spot for the printing plate. So please make sure that your printing plate is on here while you layer the ink with your brayer. Also, there is a final copy paper spot. This is going to be for your practice or your proof print and your final watercolor copy. Okay? So, the proof print that we are going to be doing, there is something called a registration mark. This registration mark is going to help make sure that it is nice and lined up the way that it should be. You're going to place the X of your registration, or of the back of your printing plate, on to the corner, the registration corner. This is also located on your watercolor wash. There are 4 registration marks to make sure that the X always goes in the center and lining up with the registration marks. The proof print is your practice print, and that's what you're going to do first before you do your final copy print. So the very first thing that you want to do is your proof print. It's going to give you proof that you have enough ink and your design is carved in enough to then do your final copy. Everybody will just do one of these and then move on to their final copy. You're going to place this proof print piece of paper on the final copy spot. The ink that you're going to use is water-based, but it does stain. So please make sure that you are very careful with this and not getting it on your clothes. One of these will be at every table. You are going to have the freedom to reapply the ink to your ink plate. Please notice how much I'm putting on here. This amount will go a long way. You're going to take your brayer and you are going to layer ink onto the brayer, the roller of the brayer. You're going to go vertical, then horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical, making sure you have a nice even layer of ink all on that roller. Notice how I'm staying in the center of my ink plate. I do not want to fill this entire thing up because all that will do is waste this expensive ink. Once I have a nice layer, and we want to move fast with this because it's water-based, it's going to dry very quickly. You're going to make sure that your printing plate is face up, and then you're going to layer ink with your brayer on the surface of your printing plate. You're going to go vertical, it might stick, and then horizontal, making sure there's a nice even layer over everything. Place the roller part back down in the ink. Please make sure the handle does not go in the ink. You're going to take your printing plate. Please make sure that you do not touch the ink, that you grab it by the sides like this. What you are then going to do is make sure you realize where the X is. You're going to hover over, like a helicopter, over your proof paper, making sure that this corner lines up perfectly with the corner of the registration that I have made for you. You're going to press down the X first, and then you're going to pat down the rest of your design, the rest of your printing plate. Okay. The next thing that you are going to do is take the spoon. Now this spoon is to rub, or what we call burnish, our design onto the different surface. So we are taking our spoon, placing our finger in the concaved part of the spoon so we can support it. If we try to burnish without putting our finger in the spoon, it will break. Put your finger in the concave part of the spoon, and then you are going to burnish or rub every single inch, every single centimeter of your design. Put pressure over everything. If you don't place pressure on this, it's not going to print out a solid black color like you want. You can even check it. Without pulling it all the way off, you can check. Do I need to burnish anywhere else? I think I do. I'm going to place it back down. I'm going to burnish. Keep burnishing. Once I know that I'm finished burnishing, I can then take a corner, peel it off, and now I have my first proof print. Place your proof print to the side, and now place your final copy paper onto the final copy paper spot. You're going to be printing 4 separate times. If you are running out of ink here, you can place a small amount of ink to get a nice even coating with your brayer, and then you're going to coat your printing plate again. You want to recoat this every single time you print. Recoat your printing plate. Please make sure that you stay in the center of your ink plate. Vertical, horizontal. Place another coating, going vertical, then horizontal. Pick this up. On the sides, make sure that the X, you know where the X is, because this X is now going to go in the registration marks that have been printed on the final copy. You are going to hover over like a helicopter again. Make sure that the corner with the X is in the center always. Line the corner of your printing plate up with the corner of the registration mark. Place it down, pushing the X first, and then patting the rest of it down. Take your spoon and burnish. You want to make sure that you put pressure and burnish every single part of your printing plate. Be careful that you don't accidentally go off of the edge and make random marks that shouldn't be there. Once you think that you have burnished everything, you can check it by pulling up an edge, seeing if there are any white marks. If there are, place it back down without moving it out of place and continue to burnish. Once you're done burnishing, you may peel this off for your first final print. You're going to be doing this 4 separate times. Please make sure that every single time you print, the X always goes in the middle. Always goes in the middle. You're going to turn it so it always goes in the middle. I keep saying that because if you have one print where it is not in the middle, all of your lines will not match up and your artwork will not be radially balanced like it should be, and that's what you're getting graded on. So the X always goes in the middle and that corner always lines up with the registration mark. After you are finished with everything, this is what it should look like. You place this, your printing plate, and your proof on the drying rack. Things to remember. Place everything in the assigned area. Only use a small amount of ink on the ink plate. Recoat the printing plate every time you print. The X always goes in the middle by the registration marks. Burnish or rub the entire back of your printing plate to transfer your design to the final surface. Print your design 4 times and then place it on the drying rack.